Hi, everybody. I'm back. Yeah, it's been a while, but welcome to Yellow Ropes Forever, the NXT rundown. It's back after like a month and a half. My name is Sondra. I am joined today by Kenny McIntosh. Hello.
Hello, this is the real Kenny McIntosh, not the hacked Kenny McIntosh.
Yeah,
It's the
this is the
real
real
one.
one.
Hello.
You can tell by that delightful lilt in his voice.
My delightful monotone Scottish voice, as all the lovely What Culture readers would say, or listeners, or whatever.
Whatever they are.
Those fuckers.
Those fuckers. Whatever, what culture. I'm probably not allowed to say that.
You can say whatever you like.
Okay. Whatever what culture. Yeah, so there's that. But yeah, I apologize for being away for so long. I wish I had some well, I don't wish I had some monumental life tragedy or something because then I would have a monumental life tragedy. But basically the holidays got really busy and then stuff kept happening and the show's kind of all on me and I didn't end up getting stuff done.
I do want to just quickly say, I'm the first person to make jokes and the first person to take the piss, but I do want to say that I really my thoughts and prayers are with Bret Hart right now. I know that he's just said that he's got prostate cancer. He might be the bitterest man alive in terms of pro wrestling, but like it's really sad that this has happened to him. But as the little boy in the video said back in 1994, "Go get him, champ." I'm sure he's got this. So best wishes to him, really.
He's come through a lot, you know. He's gonna keep going. No, it is really sad. It is. I was genuinely sad to read that, obviously. Like cancer sucks. Cancer sucks
But
hardcore.
the good thing is, prostate cancer is apparently one of the ones that there's more of a chance of
Yes.
beating it. So
Yep.
good, good on that count.
Yes, definitely. Very good. I feel like there's a lot that's been happening in the world of NXT, and a lot of it seems to have to do with tapings that have not aired yet. So I've been avoiding spoilers as much as possible, Kenneth. Um,
I'm saying nothing. I've not said a word. I'm just sitting here with my Evian water only because I've had 4 glasses of prosecco tonight and I can't have any more. I'm not saying a word.
Good. I'm
I'm
making
not. I'm
that
not
very
going to say.
clear.
I'm not going to say where Nakamura is going to be or who he's going to be against.
Like you did on Inside the Ropes.
It's an insider show. We're going inside the ropes.
It's
I have to
supposed to be
go.
non-spoilery though.
Why don't we ever be non-spoilery
You
inside
have
the
always
ropes?
been non-spoilery to
No, wait.
NXT because I will kill you.
But that one, the thing with that one is, if we didn't talk about it, people would be like, "Why did you not talk about that?"
Well, you
Like
could
that's
say like
big news.
NXT announced on their website that he was going to debut, but they didn't say who against because that has to do with tapings.
I would bet you $1,000 you would have found out who it was going to be
Yeah,
against.
but then I would have been annoyed at someone else.
Like I say this, like nobody who's listening to this knows who it's against. Like it's
I'm
just
trying
you
to
and I.
forget.
Okay, okay. Nakamura debuts against Elias Sampson or somebody.
Yep. John Schuyler versus Shinsuke Nakamura. They're
Fucks.
bringing back Cal Bishop. No, they're not actually, but no, that is really exciting, and just there's so much that's going on, and the live tour is happening also. I just want to make mention of that. I was at the live show in Milwaukee, which was so cool because I got to see Kevin Owens come out as a huge surprise. And I'm actually going to try and get together with Alaric and William to record just like a short thing of like, hey, we were at Milwaukee. This is what we liked. And it was super fun because it was a great show. And I'm also going to the show this coming weekend on Saturday in Indianapolis. So I will have more stuff to say about that also. I'm going to NXT twice in 2 months. It's like I'm you getting to go to all these fun things. I don't know. It's really cool.
You say this like first of all, let's just take viewpoint that Sondra is being an NXT whore here, and then secondly,
There is nothing
it's
wrong with being an NXT whore.
let's preaching to the choir. I literally think I've had an erection over going to take over Dallas. Like
That's
I think
fair.
I at points that's happened because I've been like it looks so good.
Yeah.
When obviously with Nakamura and Elias Sampson, that's what I mean.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Nothing else.
Yep. That's it. That's all I know.
Hmm.
I actually didn't even listen to your whole news segment, by the way. I don't know if you spoiled anything else.
No, we didn't.
Okay.
We did not spoil Kamala's return.
Oh, good. I'm glad. That needs to be a surprise. But yes, there's a lot going on in NXT. I'm getting to go again. That's super exciting. But we will get into the actual episode of this week right after this brief musical interlude.
God, I love a brief musical interlude.
I know you do. And we're back. Thankfully, to start out the show this week, we have something really fun to talk about. At least I think it's really fun because this match was so good. We had American Alpha coming out to start the show. I'm still getting used to that name. I did think of you though, Kenny, because Chad Gable and Jason Jordan have a tag team name. How do you feel about that?
Well, anyone who knows me knows that I am a big fan of when there's a tag team name. I'm okay with American Alpha. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. I'm
Yeah.
cool with it. Like I'm okay with it. I'm like in 6 months, I feel like I'll be like I feel like I'm at the point now where like Chris Jericho has just changed to pants from trousers, and I'm
Uh,
like, oh. But then like 6 months, I'm like, oh, okay, fine.
yeah. I think maybe he should switch back from
Back.
pants to
He should
trousers.
absolutely switch back. He should absolutely. But no, yeah, I like when I was at the UK tour, Jordan and Gable were the absolute stars of that tour. Bigger than Zayn, Balor, like people loved them so much. And I mean I think they're possibly the most popular team in wrestling right now.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
maybe Enzo and Cass have got an in on that. But I think the thing with Enzo and Cass is when Enzo and Cass come out, it's great entrance, whatever. But when the bell rings, whereas with Jordan and Gable, they're just as good when the bell rings as they are with the crowd.
Well, they're even better when the
Interacting.
bell rings, and that's why they're so good with the crowd, I think. Because
Yeah,
they manage, like they take that thing, right, where they're amateur wrestlers, and this is what I said about Chad Gable from the start, from his debut against Tyler Breeze. So, ha, I was right. Um, Chad Gable has managed to take being an amateur wrestler and make it a thing in matches, but in a way that's super entertaining and not just for geeks like me who are like, oh, those arm ringers are amazing, right? Because I love a good arm ringer exchange. That's one of my favorite things in the entire world. But not everybody is going to be so excited about exchanging wrestling holds. Kenny, you're not the biggest fan of submission wrestling or whatever, right? Because they need to tell a story with it for it to be good for
there
you.
you go. There you go. Yeah.
And I feel like Chad Gable and Jason Jordan now too are able to take those wrestling moves that I think are so so cool and they're able to tell an entertaining story with it with enough flair that it's entertaining for the pro wrestling audience in general. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that they are. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that Gable. I think both of these guys need each other.
They do.
Like Gable on his own, Jordan on his own is even more, but together they just work 100%. And you know, there's obviously I don't know how familiar our listeners in the States are, but obviously Jordan, Jason,
Yeah.
Jordan has become this thing. Which obviously comes from the Two Unlimited song "No Limit" from the UK, which was like a '90s dance theme. Which, if you've not heard, go to YouTube right now, pause this, Two Unlimited, the number two, the song is No Limit. It is, you know, you cannot help but dance to it. And they now have that as like one of the things. And when Jason Jordan was on the apron in the UK, you could just see him absolutely baffled that these people were singing this, but he was so happy
Yeah.
because this is a guy who, like, for months, like, let's be honest, like, if nothing started happening, he was going to be in the chopping block. Like, it was
Oh
going to
yeah.
happen.
Well,
It
Jason
was.
Jordan's been around since FCW for a long time. Like I've seen Jason Jordan for years, like about as long as I've been watching wrestling. I've been seeing
Mm-hmm.
Jason Jordan. Maybe not quite that long, but a long time, definitely. And there was always just something missing with him. Like he seemed very, very good In-ring wise, very, very good. Personality wise, fine,
Hmm.
I guess,
Yeah.
ish. Like, I don't know if people remember his epic split with Ty Dillinger. It was not epic, and I love both of them way more than most
I
people love
I
both of them.
forgot that he was a tag team partner with Ty Dillinger.
Ty Dillinger and Jason Jordan were like the first tag team in matching gear for ages.
The-
For ages. And they
I
came and
have
they fought the Ascension. It was a big deal. It was a really big deal.
I can't remember the last time that Sondra was so excited that she could not get a sentence out of her mouth like she just did there. Um,
I am in love with Ty Dillinger also, and oh, and he's injured now, and I'm so sad.
no, fuck. Everybody's injured.
Everybody's injured,
I'm surprised I've not tore my quad going to the toilet or something.
right?
Just
I
seems to happen.
know.
But yeah, I really enjoyed this American Alpha. I'm gonna try and start saying that now. Blake and Murphy match. I thought it was really
Yeah.
good, and I really like that Blake is now in pants and Murphy is now in trousers. That also makes me happy because I've said before they look the same. Let's differentiate them. I still can't really tell who's who, but I look at the pants and I can see who's who.
You can at
Um,
least see that they're different. Well, you can also look at the man bun on top.
the
Like,
man, and I appreciate a man bun in
yeah.
wrestling in 2016. So
Wesley Blake likes to play with his hair so that the crowd will chant at him, "You look stupid," and
exactly, and
it's
plus, you know,
great.
WWE are like 2 to 3 years behind the trend,
Hmm.
so it makes sense that a man bun would become a thing in 2016 because
Well, tell
that's.
that to Bronson Matthews, Mr. Big Josh from Tough Enough.
You mean the Yeti?
Yeah, yeah,
Well, yeah. After anyway,
yeah.
but yeah, I thought this was fun. I like that they're kind of getting behind the fact that when Jason Jordan pulls the strap down, he's just gonna fuck shit up,
Yeah,
and
he is.
I enjoyed the kind of the finishing sequence where Jordan flung Blake up in the air and then Gable just kind of backed him down for like a back. What would you call what he did at the end? Like a back suplex thing or a?
Kind of. I can't really think of what to call it. It's their finisher that I don't even think has a name. But
I'm sorry if you're blind and you're listening to this because we're not explaining what the finisher is very well.
do you think that wrestling translates well to a blind audience? We should ask Deeks, actually, is who we should ask about that.
Is he blind?
No, 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 no. This is back from like 2 years ago.
Oh,
But
okay.
do you remember,
I
like,
was
he
gonna
said
say.
Tamina was good looking? Like, he used to.
Oh, big time. Listen, there's nothing wrong with being a homosexual. There's nothing wrong with that. You and love is genderless. Well, I mean,
It
it's not
is.
genderless. It's very much gender specific. But it's like it's not genderless, but it's not anyway. You
If
know what
you'd
I mean?
like to hear Kenny's thoughts on love and sexuality and
You can listen to my bisexual podcast on orphan. Okay.
oh fucking hell.
All I'm
Yeah,
gonna say is none of you get that joke, but if you got it,
but if you got it, it's
funny. Anyway,
I don't know.
so can I ask you about? Sorry, I didn't. What did you think of American Alpha, Blake and Murphy?
American Alpha Blake and Murphy is my everything in wrestling, basically. I love it. Um, Blake and Murphy had Iron Man gear also with Alexa, and that was really, really cool. And that's super tangential, but I can't go without mentioning how great all of the gear looked in this match. And I have you on the show, Kenny. I mean, what did you think of the gear? Because I have a lot to say about the match too. And I'll be honest, I don't have that much to say about the rest of this episode. So I am perfectly fine just gushing over American Alpha versus Blake and Murphy for like half the show.
Well, I like the CG and JJ. I think that was good on their gear. I like that American Alpha are in singlets. Like I say, I like that Blake and Murphy are now, ones in pants, ones in trousers. I'm a fan of that. That's what I've got.
Cool. Yeah. No, I just their gear has been so cool. Like, did you see their Freddy Krueger gear around the Christmas time?
No.
Oh, they had gear that was based on like Freddy Krueger's sweater, apparently, because I've never seen Nightmare on Elm Street, so I had to be told this. But then I looked up a picture of Freddy Krueger and was like, oh yeah, it's really cool. And so they're going with kind of like geek themed gear, which I love so completely. And I don't know, it was just exciting for me. But the match itself, I've seen 3 times now because I watched it and loved it. And then I watched it again because I always rewatch the episode to write down some stuff and whatnot. And then I was like, you know what? Kind of bored with the rest of this. I'm just gonna go and back and watch the tag again because it's really, really good. And like, there's just so much good that they do, right? Like, there are so many details that they do in matches, and this is gonna be me geeking out over moves, so sorry. But like, Jason Jordan has his leg caught by Buddy Murphy, I think, and Buddy Murphy's trying to sweep his leg. So what does he do? He basically does hot like jump rope or whatever to avoid leg sweeps. He just jumps instead. Or Chad Gable doing his arm drags of doom or of glory or of beauty. They're the coolest things in the entire world. Like, how do you make arm drags look good, right? Well, I mean, they can look really good, but how do you make arm drags into a thing that's gonna make me just be like, oh my gosh, look at the arm drags, like they're so pretty. And they were. And I mean, Chad Gable sitting on, I think it was Buddy Murphy's, I don't remember. It might have been Buddy Murphy. I can't remember exactly, but like, I think he was sitting on Buddy Murphy's head, raises his arms up, poses, and goes, yeah, and then does a head scissors takedown, like from a sitting, posing stance. These are the things that make me love them so much, because those are the types of wrestling moves that, like, you can just kind of do perfunctory wrestling moves and they can look really good and they can be awesome and I will love you for them. But if you add that much flair and personality to them while playing to the crowd, I think that's really special. And I think that they've kind of tapped into that. And I just feel like the reason they're so over with people is not their promos, because their promos aren't that exciting. They're great. Like, I loved when Chad Gable was stalking Jason Jordan and wanting to be his partner and everything, but those promos weren't super stellar. And
I don't want to hear them cut promos.
yeah, I want to hear them do ones like, well, last week actually, I don't know if you watched last week's NXT episode, but they had a really good thing where they were outside, they basically declared their name. I don't know why they were like outside on a grassy knoll or something, but they it just kind of illustrated that they're a great team and they're buddies, and they still kind of have that weird dynamic where Chad Gable will be like, yeah, that's so sick, like, or we're ready, you say the next part, and Jason's like, no, and he's like, okay, fine, we're willing, and Jason's like, and Gable, and he's like, oh yeah, you said it, you said my name, which sounds really creepy, but with them, it totally works for me. I don't know. I love them so much. And another thing I wanted to point out about the match itself, like I said, I don't have that much to say about most of the matches on this show, but this one was my favorite. There was a part in the match where Wesley Blake and Buddy Murphy decided to be dastardly, right? Like, Buddy Murphy went down with a leg injury, quote unquote, after just like a leapfrog or something. And he was so overt and over the top about it. And it was great because it was kind of obvious to me, like, okay, no, he's not really hurt. He's going to be doing something dastardly with this. It was like I'm playing possum, right? And so he gets in the corner, and the ref is like, oh, what do we do? Da, 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 da. And you see him motion to Wesley Blake. And then Wesley Blake comes in and they try to do a distraction thing or attack you because we were distracted about this. And I really, really like that they cheated without having Alexa cheat for them, because it shows that they're a good team on their own too. Alexa was on the outside, but she wasn't the main focus of this. It was the two teams, and I really appreciated that. And I then they start going after Chad Gable's leg, and one of the things Chad Gable does, and this is another detail, after they do their finisher, and Chad Gable always bridges for the pin, which, I mean, bridging pins, some of my favorite things in wrestling. Love them, love them, love them. Chad Gable lifts the injured leg because he can't put enough pressure on that leg, so he has to just lift it so that A, it looks like he is awesome, and B, it makes sense because he's still selling the leg injury, and I love this match, and I'm geeking out about it.
It's good to geek out, but I enjoyed it. It's because the problem with the main roster is that, like the New Day are amazing. They're so great as heels, but there's no real baby faces that people get behind.
No.
Whereas in NXT, you have American Alpha, who are a really good team. So it's funny because I look at like, do I want American Alpha to get called up first or Enzo and Cass? Like, I don't know. They would both be really good, but I feel like maybe it's Enzo and Cass's time to go up first. Maybe.
I think probably it's Enzo and Cass's time to go up first. I feel like American Alpha can be the tag team face of NXT for a while. And that's not just selfish reasoning. I I don't know. I feel like if they are leading the crowd in NXT and we have the New Day on the main roster leading the tag team division, which maybe they'll build a division again soon on the main roster, that'd be neat, wouldn't it? Uh, like it could be really good. And then eventually, if those two teams do meet, how cool would that be? Plus, if Enzo and Cass go up first and get to have promo battles with the New Day, I'm not going to complain about that.
So let me ask you this, because I'm curious about your thoughts on this. So there was a backstage promo with, right, Alex Reyes, whoever the
Alex
fuck this
Reyes.
is,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Rich Reyes
I
Jr. Mm-hmm.
well, Rich. Anyway, I was going to be offensive, then I'm not going to be. He's not for me, right? Anyway, Emma and Dana Brooke are doing a promo, and like for anyone who's watched Breaking Ground, like Dana, because the thing about Dana Boobs is what we love about Dana Boobs is how horrible she is,
She's
and
fantastically
then
horrible.
but then on Breaking Ground, she was actually good, like good, not
Yeah.
like shit good. She was good,
Well, I think
but
she's been
it's
getting good on NXT, and people have not noticed it yet.
But for me, this promo was horrible. Like I was like, this is like it's so bad in the sense of like, like sometimes you say to people, "Oh, women's wrestling is really good. Like you could get really invested in it." And then if you were ever to show somebody this with Dana Brooke, you'd be like, "This woman's horrible. Like look at her act. Look at her acting. It's so bad. What is she wearing? She's got some sort of furry bit on her belly. Like."
And as Ollie has said, all the makeup in all the land.
All the makeup in all the land, like she is literally a bag of crisps on her face, and and then you get Emma who like is lovely, but even she's like overacting as much as she can. And I mean, I get that that's their thing. Like they're trying to be over the top, but Jesus Christ. Anyway,
That's
that
exactly what I love about it. I think just because they are like they're so objectively, if you're looking at it as like, are they skilled actresses and is this a great promo that people are going to remember? No. Like
Well,
it's
no, no,
shite.
no, nobody's gonna have that conversation about this. I mean, I think the thing that was weird for me is before I just looked at Dana Boobs as like, okay, she's awful, that's it. But then I kind of like not fell in love with her, but I was like, I'm really behind you when I was watching her on Breaking
On
Ground, and
Breaking Ground.
but it's weird to go back to her being Dana Boobs
Well, I
from
don't
Dana.
know if they're that different though. I don't know if they're as different as you're saying
Okay.
because I feel like Dana was still pretty even on Breaking Ground, she could get a little over the top sometimes in her pronunciations of things and when she's talking to the camera. And even her personality when she's like riding in the car with that one lady who was her friend and she was like, what's the thing I ask you after every match? How do I look? Like it makes sense to me, I guess. Like it makes sense that Dana Boobs is Dana Boobs. And I feel like Dana being so over the top is on purpose at this point because I feel like she's trying to antagonize the crowd, right? Like she wants the crowd to think she's shit. But in her mind, in her delusional mind, she is the best. And in Emma's delusional mind, Emma is the best. Well, and Emma is the best, like, let's be honest, but Emma's fantastic. But her affect in promos and stuff has always been flat. If you watch her old stuff, even with Renee Young, when she was telling Renee that she couldn't have her bubble gun because they're her bubbles, she's not super great at acting or giving promos. She never has been, but it's part of her charm to me. And admittedly, this is biased because I'm freaking in love with that woman, but I, this was very prototypical Emma and Dana to me, especially with Dana not understanding that Alex's name was Alex and not Adam because she's like, listen, Adam. And he actually corrects her and says it's Alex. She's like, whatever it is, you're not important. You know what's important?
Oh
And
God, yes.
they
Oh,
go on to say like last week in the tag match, it was all Bailey. Carmella didn't do a thing because Alex had asked them, you guys lost to Bailey and Carmella. What's up with that? Like Emma's gonna be facing Carmella and what's going to happen and what Emma and Dana don't seem to remember is that Carmella debuted against Blue Pants, right? But yeah, that might have happened, but her second match, I believe, and this is just from memory, so I apologize if I'm getting it incorrect, like check Wikipedia, check me, whatever, but I'm fairly sure that Carmella's second match was against Emma and she beat her handily, rather handily, really, really quickly. And I was super sad for Emma at the time, which is why I remember. But they don't remember that, right? Because they're delusional and they're heels, and they shouldn't remember that because, of course, not. Because they have these delusions of grandeur where there's like Data will still backstage talk about how she'll beat up Asuka or whatever, and her back is turned. She's like, "Did she leave? Did she leave? Good. I'm glad she left because I would have beaten her, whatever." No, you wouldn't have because Asuka's gonna kick your face in, but you're Dana Boobs and you're super delusional, and I love you.
I can't disagree with anything you've said. Like I mean yeah, it's weird. It depends how you look at it. Do you look at it as is this a good promo, or do you kind of go, I want to watch something horrible, you know?
Yeah.
And that's going to depend on how you feel about this segment. But I do you know, I'm more intrigued to see where Emma goes in the next 12 months than I am with Dana Brooke because Dana Brooke clearly is destined for the main roster because
Yes.
she's
The
on the rise.
total diva.
God. But
Total Dana.
I'm curious what happens to Emma. Like, does Emma get back up? Or does is she now like NXT? Like that's her role. I don't know. I'm curious to see where she goes in the next year or so.
I'm curious too. And I feel like Emma's so talented that it's a shame in a way that the main roster is just ignoring the fact that she exists. But also, in a way, I'm kind of glad that the main roster is ignoring the fact that she exists. Because on the main roster right now, we are actually getting a decent women's division starting. And
Yeah.
I will say that for the main roster women's division, the main roster Divas division. I need to call it the Divas division. That's what it is. And Becky and Charlotte have been the most compelling story on Raw for me. They have been. They've been fantastic. And it's really, really exciting for me because what I'm seeing on the main roster, and I know this is kind of a tangent, but like I'm seeing the start of what happened in NXT about 3 years ago or so, like 3, 4 almost years ago now. Well, not 4. Yeah, like 3 years ago. Because you started to have women who were in these stories and it, could be a thing and stuff got interesting and then you got invested in them as characters. It wasn't just they were the sideshow attraction and we have to have 3 minutes of them or whatever. Like we're actually starting to get a story on the main roster. And that's where NXT for me has really shined. Like everyone points to the ring work, which is obviously fantastic, but it's just in the treatment of the women and the treatment of the women as characters and as fully formed humans who have motivations and can have stories, be they for the title or not. Like they are wrestlers and they can have stories. And that's, I think, what we're starting to see on the main roster with Charlotte and Becky, and now Sasha, which is really exciting too.
Hmm.
And that's the kind of thing I really like about these Emma and Dana Boobs segments or their team or whatever, because they're wanting to go for the title. And I would be totally cool with Bayley versus Dana Boobs. Totally cool with it. I would even more love to revisit Emma versus Bayley. But at the same time, I'm really glad they can be involved in these secondary things. And I'm glad that they're so over the top. And I'm glad that they're bringing in the whole division in their promo, right? They're talking about Carmella, obviously, because she's facing Emma next week. But they mentioned that Carmella lost to Blue Pants. Like, does she even work here? Da, 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 da. It makes it feel like a world, and it makes it feel like a world that's fully formed. And I think that's what I appreciate about it so much because they're bringing in stories. And we'll talk about that a little bit more with Carmella later. But I don't know. I really enjoyed it. I think that they're being horrible is super on purpose, and I
Well,
really enjoy
you'd
it.
hope so. Do you know what I love? I love Nia Jax's theme tune.
It is pretty great, isn't it?
And I have no idea why I love it, but like I find myself humming it sometimes.
It it's really damn catchy, isn't it? I'm not like
Every time.
most girls. Da, da,
Every
da, da,
time.
da, da, da. Yeah,
Yeah.
and yes, I do actually know the words, but whatever.
Of
Um,
course you do.
of course I do.
So it's funny because Sondra and I look at this match in two different ways. I looked at it as, oh, Nia Jax beats a nobody, whereas I'm sure Sondra looks at it as,
Liv
oh,
Morgan is not a
Nia,
nobody.
Nia Jax fights Liv Morgan, and I'm like you literally could never have told you who that was.
No.
Never, you could have offered me
Ah!
$1 billion, and I'd be like, no idea.
Okay,
And
you
the
want
thing
to
is,
know? Like, I don't have that many notes written down for this episode because I just
well, to be
don't.
fair, to be fair, Nia Jax beats her in 2 minutes. There's not many notes to take
No,
for
no,
this.
but this is the funny part is that I have two bullet points under Nia Jax with Eva Marie versus Liv Morgan. The first one says, I'm into Liv Morgan. That's basically it. The second one says, Nia's smile needs to go. That's all I wrote down. Like,
What are you into Liv Morgan about? Like, what has
I
she done?
love her.
What? What? Like, she didn't do anything.
No, she didn't do anything in this match, but like she's really good. I've seen her be a jobber multiple times now. And like, okay, so she's also been working live events for a really, really long time. And obviously I've never gotten to see them because I don't live in Florida, which is fine because I don't want to live in Florida. Like, sorry to everyone who lives in Florida. I don't want to live there. But I really like her, and I think that she has a lot of promise. She didn't come from independent wrestling. She didn't come from, like super exciting training stuff. Like she's not like Peyton Royce and Billie Kay where they have indie cred or whatever, right? Like she's come in and she's training and she's working hard and she's a lot more like Alexa Bliss than she is like, Peyton Royce or whoever. But she has personality, and I she jumped on Tyler Breeze one time during his entrance, and that was awesome. And it's one of those things where I hear people's names, right? Like, because I read live event stuff and I read about NXT and I'm super into NXT, obviously. And so I hear Jana Daddio is this thing, and she's been on events and people have been having good reactions to her. And when they debut on NXT TV, I don't expect it to be super great because, like Alexa Bliss wasn't super great at first. But Liv Morgan shows kind of a lot of promise for me. And also, I just really like her a lot.
Okay.
And
But here's the thing, right? Let's break this down, listeners of Yellow Rundown Ropes of NXT Forever, right?
mhm,
Let's break this down. Sondra has not in one way there said why Liv Morgan is any good. She just said that
that I
she's
really
been
like.
around for a while and you like her. And like that's fit. Like that's I'm no listen, I like the great Khali.
Yeah, you do.
Nobody's judging here. But all I'm saying is I don't know who this woman is. That might as well be my mother in the ring because my mother's been at a personal training class or two in the last couple of weeks. This could be my mom in the ring. I have no idea,
I'm waiting for
but
Fiona McIntosh versus Duff Roberts at Full Sail.
she would whip him.
Now that's the match I want to see most in my entire life.
But no,
No,
Nia
it's
Jax.
fair. It's fair. I don't expect anyone to know who Liv Morgan
I
is or
do,
whether
however,
she's awesome.
I would like Nia Jax to have some role in Takeover Dallas because I really think that
Yes.
people underrate how good she was at Takeover London. So
Oh, she
that's
was very, very good. No, I really, at some point, I'll talk about Takeover London. Um, it'll be retro at this point, but that's fine. No, I really liked Nia Jax at Takeover London. Nia Jax is very good. I like Nia. I like
you
Nia a
should do
lot.
you should do Takeover London as a retro the week before Takeover Dallas.
Yeah,
It's like
actually,
a
I was thinking about the same thing. So yeah, let's make it happen.
great minds.
Yeah.
Um, but yes, I
No,
mean this.
I like Nia Jax. This match was nothing. It was nothing. Like I like Liv Morgan for the same reasons I liked Elias Sampson, who we'll get to in a bit. I like her for the same reasons I liked Sawyer Fulton and Angelo Dawkins together. I like her for the same reasons I like a lot of jobbers, because basically I just get really into jobbers a lot and recognizing them and being excited when I've read about them and then they show up. And I think the fact that she actually looks decent as opposed to nothing, that's basically why I like her. But yeah, this match was nothing really. The only thing I have to say about it is that Nia Jax needs to stop smiling so much. She keeps doing it and it is really annoying. And she for a while in the match she started to look like she was trying to be mean and have like more of an Asuka type smile than just an I'm posing for my fourth grade picture smile. But she's still doing the thing where she pins someone's like, oh, yay, show my teeth. I'm so happy about things. I don't know. I feel like she just needs to be a big monster and wreck people, and I think it would be more effective.
Yeah, I concur. It's funny, like every time there's something on the show that I'm like, oh, this is really intriguing. You may be like, nah, and then it's whenever there's something that's like, I go, okay, like I know that you could have a lot to say about it, so I assume that whatever Carmella has to say here, you have a lot to say about it.
Whatever Carmel has to, I don't have a lot to say about it in the sense of there's not that much to analyze, right? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I do like that she has, like the whole thing is with Carmella for me, as someone who doesn't watch NXT, is like Carmella is Enzo and Cass's sidekick,
Oh, she's so much more
and
than that.
doesn't really have much more to her. That's what, as a sporadic NXT viewer, that's what you get from her. That's all
Yeah,
you get from her. But what I like about it is she seems to be doing more. You know, she
she
seems
is.
to be, and that's good because again, when I watched her on Breaking Ground, I'm like, oh, I like her. Like she's quite good, but like I've never really had that connection to her in NXT. So I'm glad that now, after I've watched Breaking Ground, I'm watching NXT, and I'm like, oh, okay. Now I get to connect with Carmella a little bit.
Yeah, no, I really liked her stuff on Breaking Ground with, I mean, she was with Bailey. Like, Baymella is awesome, right? And I'm super interested to see what they're doing because Carmella's the number one contender right now, which I keep
I'm
forgetting
not saying a
because I
word.
think I've talked. Well, she's the number one contender right now, and we'll see how that match goes because we have no idea.
Well, okay.
I, I can guess the idea, but we have no idea,
if
okay?
if you don't know the idea that everybody wants to be the idea, anyway.
Whatever, Kenny. That hasn't aired. It's fine. And I actually, like, I don't know anything.
Oh, Sondra,
I
you
don't!
you know.
Well, yeah. But not because I've actually seen it anywhere.
But
Because
can you imagine the
great.
alternative? Can you imagine the alternative to what you want? Like I can't even say it. The thing is, you know, and I can't even say
No,
because
you
even
can't.
you know. But imagine if Carmella was to win a match, and then she went on to face somebody at a Dallas show. Imagine that.
Oh, you're talking about.
Anyway, so
But
Carmella talked. Go ahead.
no, this promo though, I really, really loved it. I loved it so much that I'm gonna insert the audio of it, either before we start talking about it or now. We'll see.
I heard everything that Emma and Little Miss Piggy Dana Brooke had to say about me. And all I have to say is that next week I'm gonna be Emma all by myself. And I'm gonna prove them and all the doubters wrong. The Evolution is a freaking joke.
Speaking of jokes, Dash and Dawson, we heard what you had to say about us. All fluff and no stuff? Well, it seems apparent to me that you guys have been stuffing your faces because you got plenty of fluff in those midsections behind those title belts. You want to run your mouths to Carmella? You want to run your mouths? Well, you should be running on the damn treadmill.
Let me tell you something, Dash and Dawson. The only ounce of credibility that you could put behind those words are those damn titles. And I wish I could tell you I went home and had a Merry Christmas. But you know what? I didn't, because I didn't come home with those titles, okay, pal? So you keep running your mouth. I've been on edge ever since London. I was in Jersey, somebody was pumping my gas. I nearly got out the car and whooped his because I thought it was you. You're getting tuned up when I see you. And I'm putting the Midas touch on that. That goal, boy. We don't give a damn about you. We don't give a damn about anything you got to say. You are looking at stars. Finish your cup of average Joe and move the hell on. Go punch yourself or we will. How you doing?
Oh, that was a good promo.
It was a great promo. I loved it.
I'm glad you put it in there for me to listen to before we talk about it.
Yeah, yeah. It's totally, we've heard it now,
Yeah,
and
you know.
it's delightful. And what I really loved about it too was Carmella mentions her thing with Emma. She's going to be facing Emma next week, and she talks about Emma saying that Carmella's a joke or whatever. She's like, Evolution is a freaking joke, and that was cool. And then it very seamlessly transitions into Enzo and Cass talking about the mechanics and how much they don't like them, right? And I just appreciated the fact that they not only brought two stories together in one promo, because each of these, Enzo and Cass have a story going on, Carmella has a story going on. They're not really intertwined, but because they're a group and because they're together, they're just intertwined for that reason. And I like that they address both of the stories at once because, again, it comes back to my wanting NXT and wanting any wrestling world to be a fully formed world where people have motivations and characters and they can interact with one another because it's not just like this person fights this person and interacts with no one else, right? And so I appreciated that about it. I also appreciated the intensity that Carmella, Enzo, and Cass had here because they were very serious. It wasn't like for a long time, my criticism of Enzo and Cass got to be that they just listed off words and said, "How you doing?" And a lot of the substance that made their promos so awesome had gone. That substance is back, and that intensity is back, and that wanting to win is back. Like Enzo didn't have a Merry Christmas because they didn't go home with those belts. So, when he's talking about a gas station attendant almost, he was pumping his gas and he almost kicked his because he was so upset or whatever. I love that because it makes the belts matter and it makes wrestling matter and it makes the whole world kind of come back to itself.
Yeah, for me, as someone, again, as a casual NXT viewer, I've not really seen this level of intensity from Carmella, and I enjoyed that. And I like to see Enzo and Big Cass be a little bit more serious because a lot of it's a joke, and that's fine, but I quite like seriousness. So, yeah, all three of them, top marks. I enjoyed it. And I also think that Enzo and Cass have got better in the ring from the 2 nights that I saw them in the UK tour where they had improved.
They have
Quite
improved a lot.
dramatic.
Their match with they had a match with the Mechanics actually in Milwaukee that was really, really great. And they've been doing a lot better in the ring and they've been getting, I think it has to do with their intensity. They look like they want to win again and they don't just
Yeah.
look like they want to tell jokes. And I appreciate that about them a lot.
Can we talk about something that's been bothering me?
We can talk about something that's been bothering you. What's on your mind, Kenny?
Okay. I interviewed Bill Dempsey in December, and
I saw that.
I really enjoyed talking to Bill Dempsey. Got some Bill Fit tips, the usual. And when Bill Dempsey came out here, I didn't know who he was facing. I was like, "Oh, Bill Dempsey."
I didn't know either.
And then the music hit, and I was like, "Oh, I really like that tune."
Did you
And then
even
I'd admit,
remember what it was?
well, who's gonna forget? Say it to my face. I love that. The
Yep.
problem is who it belongs to. And here comes Alex fucking Riley, who he's like that guy that you've got a pal and she can't, she keeps coming back to that fucking boyfriend that you're like, oh god, just dump him, he's so dull. And he wants to make goals and write things down and has a plan and he reads The Secret and he washes
My
his
bad.
hair with L'Oreal or whatever the fuck he does. And he always turns up again. And whenever you think he's gone, she gets back together with him again. You're like, oh, Samantha, why did you go back with him? Or whoever your friend is. And then out comes Alex Riley here, and he's grown his long hair to be mysterious. But you're just as shite as you were before, mate. You fought Kevin Owens, that was fun. I enjoyed it. I liked you being the commentator that lost your shit and went after Kevin Owens. I enjoyed that. But on NXT, there are 70 people in the Performance Center. The Alex Riley experiment is done. Go away.
I'm weirdly almost into it.
Oh God, don't.
And I
don't do
hate
that.
Alex Riley, okay? Here's my thing.
You're just being contrary to get annoyed at me.
I'm not necessarily. I think it's funny that you're this annoyed because
Look at his face.
I know. No, he's terrible. He's terrible, right?
Say it to his face.
Say it to his face. Yeah, say, "Oh, wow, mate, you're shite." Say that to your face, Alex Riley. But I'm kind of almost into it. And the reason I'm almost kind of into it is because Alex Riley, for so long, this is my history with Alex Riley, right? Alex Riley ruined my life for so long on commentary. Way too long. So many years, it seems. It was maybe a year and a half. I don't know how long it actually was. It seemed like forever. He was on commentary on NXT, ruining everything, being the worst commentator. No one cares what you did with The Miz. Stop talking about The Miz during Sami Zayn versus Antonio Cesaro. I don't forgive him for that. I never will. Alex Riley was my least favorite commentator by so much. Alex Riley and JBL are both right there together, right? Jerry Lawler's in his own world. I just don't fucking want to ever hear him speak or see him or whatever. But Alex Riley was terrible in commentary, and when he finally got off commentary, that was exciting. And then he got off commentary because he was kind of feuding with Kevin Owens or whatever. And I was there in Columbus when he had his match with Kevin Owens, and Kevin Owens just stomped the shit out of him. And then, like, as he was walking away from the match, just stomped Alex Riley again because Alex Riley's fucking Alex Riley. He's a joke, right? Like, look at the trainers he was wearing during his matches then. Like, his gear was terrible. Ollie and I went off about this, I remember. Now, Alex Riley got injured, and right before he left due to injury, he gave this promo where he was kind of like, "Oh, well, you guys were cheering Kevin Owens. What's your deal? That's not okay with me." And Alex Riley was setting up what he did here. Now, I think the crowd kind of almost ruined it because they chanted "Welcome back" and they were chanting for him, and the whole thing is supposed to be that Alex Riley is upset that the crowd didn't receive him well, or the crowd didn't care about him, or whatever. But unhinged Alex Riley might turn into a good thing. Alex Riley's been terrible his entire time of existing.
Well, okay.
But my reasoning for this is like it almost reminds me a little bit of when Tyson Kidd came back to NXT
Oh, for fuck's
and was
sake.
terrible, and he was so bad, right? Like,
Don't you dare spit in the synagogue of Tyson Kidd.
no, and I won't. And he's not going to be Tyson Kidd awesome, right? Like, he's never going to be Tyson Kidd awesome. I'm more believing in the magic of NXT because, not that people can listen to them right now, but like the first episodes I did with Bob, I remember talking about Tyson Kidd and being like, he is the most boring, he is the worst, I hate him. Like, his ring work is so good and he is terrible. And what are you even doing? And why is he on my TV? And why is he on NXT? And get Total Divas off of my NXT? And it turned out to be the best thing. And this might go nowhere with Alex Riley. I don't know, but
okay, should we turn this around and turn it into something that you love and I hate?
okay.
Okay, so Alex Riley beats Bill Dempsey
Bill
in like
Dempsey.
3 minutes. Then he does a backstage promo saying like he's back and he's been
Are
watching a
you
lot of
surprised to see
NXT
me?
and
Yes, you're surprised.
blah blah
to see
blah.
me.
Right,
I've been
move
calling
on.
Stanford and wondering where my spot is. No, I'm so angsty. I'm Alex Riley. No, this wasn't great. I'm not saying it was
But
great.
but then we have a guy who I just don't get. I just don't. He plays a guitar in a dark room. Maybe he's abused somebody. I don't know what's going on. It's Elias Sampson.
Yeah.
This just like because I saw him in NXT Takeover. I can't remember if he was on that show, if he was on the TV the week after it, but I saw him from London, whatever it was, and
Which was horrible.
it is not working for me.
Elias
So he fought John Skyler. He beat him in like 2 minutes, but am I not getting Elias Sampson? Is that like my thing, or are you kind of on board with me that like it's not really doing much?
Elias Sampson is something I want to love just on principle because
Because I feel like he's what you would love. Like if I was
yeah.
like, what is Sondra loving in NXT? The weird guy with a guitar.
Elias Sampson. That's what Sondra would love, right? Like that's absolutely what I should love. And that's absolutely what I want to love. And Elias Sampson is missing the mark. Now, I do love Elias Sampson. Don't get me wrong. I do. I love him in the same way I love Liv Morgan.
What high praise that you've developed for him.
The thing with Elias Sampson, part of what it makes me think is I miss the time when people could debut gimmicks like this and it wasn't necessarily a great thing, but you'd work on it and you'd work through it, whatever. Like NXT has become so big now that this kind of thing, if it falls flat right away, people are a lot more people are watching it, right? It's not just geeks like me. So there are a lot more people who are going to say, oh, no, this is bad. This is terrible. Get rid of it. And it's a lot more likely to just go away. And that makes me sad. But Elias Sampson is not really hitting the mark for me either. Now, I think he's good. I think he's a good wrestler. I've seen some of his matches. When he was a jobber, he showed promise. I liked his matches. I thought they were good. He actually had a really fun match with Bull Dempsey in Milwaukee. And it seems like that shouldn't be a fun match, but it really, really was. And I loved it. And a lot of that was due to Bull wearing a, cheese head thing and throwing it into the ground. But Elias Sampson was a big part of that. Like he was ripping up the hat, and it was a great kind of like comedy match and also had some good wrestling in it. Elias Sampson doesn't make any sense though, because Elias Sampson comes out with a guitar, right? Like if you have a guitar in wrestling, you better be either playing that guitar or smashing that guitar over somebody's head. And I realize that you can't smash a guitar over somebody's head all the time. But Elias Sampson plays the guitar backstage And then he doesn't play his theme tune or anything. Like, I really liked the vignettes leading up to him, but then he comes out with the guitar, doesn't use it. And then after he wins, his theme music has guitar to it, but he doesn't play along with it. And it doesn't actually make any sense, but I really want to like it just because it's a weird drifter gimmick, and that's exactly the kind of thing I do want to like a lot. You're right. This is the thing I should like the most. I really hope he gets a chance to develop it more or figure out what he's doing because I think it could be cool and I think it could turn into something, but it's a wait and see kind of a deal for me.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm just not sold on it so far. I mean, I get what you're saying. Like, I get where you're coming from. Yeah, it's definitely a wait and see thing. The thing with NXT, and we've had this conversation for a year. NXT is a weird environment. It's not quite developmental, so you kind of need to show something quick, or who knows whether people are going to get behind you. So, but then again, Bill Dempsey, he used to be, an overweight heel, and people were like, nah. Then he became Bill Fit. People really like him, so who knows? But
He settled beautifully into that whole, oh, you beat me in your comeback thing. He's become the new CJ Parker, which I
exactly.
appreciate that. We need that kind of person, though, and I'm really glad that that type of person has a character in NXT as opposed to just being nothing, because that makes it more fun. Something that I don't think is very fun, the
The
Hype
Hype
Bros
Bros.
exist.
Oh God! Do you know it's funny because when they did this whole promo, and then like Raleigh, like complains, he's like, "Oh, you only do well with the ladies because of my recruiting and all that,
Ugh,
whatever, right?" I'm
what
like,
is
that's
it?
fine, but like Raleigh walks away, and then Ryder's like, "Ugh," and I was like, "Oh, this is so scripted, it's so terrible." And I don't really want to give any time to it. Like, it's just crap. Like, but what I did really enjoy, and I know you said that after the first match you weren't really into anything after it, but I loved the triple threat match
Did
with
you?
the. Oh yeah. Like, because what I liked about it was, like, I love Joe as a heel. I really am into Baron Corbin more than I was before, and Sami Zayn is so good as a likable babyface, and I just kind of love the dynamic of, like, Sami Zayn doing his best to sort of fight these two different kind of monster guys off of him, and to try and it's that story of Sami Zayn returns. You want the returning hero to be the guy to get the title shot at the big show. Like, that's where you want him to get to, and he's got to get through these two monsters. And then obviously, like, he puts on the he puts on the sharpshooter, and he's going to get it, and then Joe latches on the the
The
cross
crotch
face.
face?
The crotch face would have been a far more devastating finisher. Um, puts on the
Would have been
cross
difficult with the
face.
sharpshooter already on, though.
Not impossible though. Not impossible. Anyway, so he puts the crossface on, and then the referee obviously calls for the bell, and it's like, who did he submit to? Which I've always thought it's funny as a concept, because, like, if the referee rings the bell, he surely should only be ringing it with him thinking that one specific person
Yeah.
was the winner. So, like, when he rang the bell, like, he had to know who he'd picked as the winner,
You
right?
would
Like, that's
think.
um, but I kind of like the fact that William Regal's out, and he's like, oh, I need to review the tape. I need to now. That's fine for people at home, because you're like that's what like, I know that this is, I don't mean to be patronizing to you, Sondra, but, like, back in the day, that's the kind of stuff that you would get in wrestling. Like, people would be like, I'm gonna have to review the tape of this. We need to figure out what happened. Like, double finishes, like, those things did happen in wrestling, and you would have to, as a viewer, you have to wait to find out what happens. That's the hook to get you to watch the following week. The problem is, in Full Sail, they're all like, we can't hear you to Regal,
Oh, I didn't
because
even notice that.
he's not, like, he's obviously not on a microphone talking about it.
Right.
Um, I just kind of liked the chaos. Like, I thought it was fun. I mean, in NXT they don't tend to do these type of things that often, so I'm okay with it. Like, if it was every week, I'd have a problem with, like, double finishes and whatever. But once in a while, I'm cool with it. I'm assuming you're not, so I will shut up and let you talk about it.
I I wasn't as anti this the first time I watched it. I didn't like the match to begin with all that much, to be honest. I think my issue is that in this triple threat match, it seemed so incredibly perfectly choreographed that only two people were in the ring at any given time. It was very rare. that all three people interacted. And I understand that triple threat matches suck as wrestlers. Like, they're difficult, they're not easy. It's really difficult to book a good triple threat match. That being said, I didn't think this was a great triple threat match, because if it's triple threat, then you need to kind of actually have all of the people involved. And it got better toward the end, because like I thought Baron Corbin had it for a second with that end of days on Samoa Joe. Like, I thought that Sami maybe could have had it with that haluva kick or something. Like, that was the cool thing going into this, is that anybody could have won. It just kind of seems like anybody could have won, and they didn't really want to choose one of them, so this is what we did instead.
Do you think did it bother you more that it reminded you of main roster booking? Is that what bothered you about it?
No, I didn't even think about it actually like that at all. I was very in the world when I was watching this. I was very in the realm of NXT. What bothers me about it is that all three of these guys I think are really, really good, and there wasn't really anything super stellar from them. It's not like it was a bad match. I just didn't really enjoy it because I thought it seemed perfunctory more than exciting or progressive or advancing the story. And I also just kind of thought that it it was just kind of there. Like, there were good things in it. Sami looking injured, because whenever Sami hits his head on anything, it looks like he's gonna die, because he is so good at that, and it's ridiculous, right? Like, that was good. Baron Corbin being a dick, that's good. That's girl Kate that I talked to on Twitter. She actually said, I hope Baron tells Sami to go back to TNA, which I definitely appreciated after he, like, it was just really funny. But it just didn't really do it for me as a match. And then when the finish happened, like, the only way I can rationalize this is that this ref's gimmick has become, I don't know how to ref. Because he's terrible. He's been terrible so many times, and it's the same guy. It's always him that ruins everything, right? Like, this is the same guy that so blatantly held up the X during Sami Zayn versus Adrian Neville on NXT one time, and wouldn't let Sami continue to fight Adrian Neville, because Adrian Neville's like, oh, my knee hurts, I can't do anything. And the guy got in between Sami Zayn and Adrian Neville and prevented a finish until Adrian Neville got, like, a surprise roll-up on Sami Zayn. So apparently it's okay for Adrian Neville to keep fighting, but not Sami Zayn, because you're a terrible ref, right? This is the same ref that didn't count to 3 when Eva Marie forgot to kick out, which actually in canon became part of the story. Like, the X thing with Adrian Neville, like, that just bothered me on a personal level, and so I will never forgive him for it. But like, the Eva Marie thing actually became NXT canon, because on a week following that, she actually said to the ref, blew a kiss to him in a promo, and was like, you didn't give in to the haters, you did what needed to be done, or you did what was good, whatever. Like, it is canon that he fucked that up, and he's doing this here, and it's like, why would you even acknowledge the tap out? Because what's happened, like, double submission things to me make a lot less sense than a double pin. If it would have been a double pin, that would be something different, in my opinion, because it just seems like a double submission. Like, when you get 2 submissions onto a person, the ref is supposed to break it up. Like, that's what they did in the Fatal Four. I don't know if it was a Fatal 4-Way or if it was a triple threat for the number 1 contender, but I'm with the women, like, at one point that happened, and the ref broke it up, because that makes sense, because if the person taps, like, who are they tapping to, right? And that's the whole thing, and that's the chaos. And I appreciate, I guess, the intent behind the chaos, and it does make me intrigued to know what's going to happen, but it's just, I thought the execution was poor.
Yeah, I'm with you in the sense of it didn't really make much sense, but in the moment I was kind of into it. It was only afterwards when I was like, oh, why did he make a decision if he didn't know who had won? But overall, like, I like the story, the 3 guys that deserve a title shot get a title match. 2 of them are now worthy, the other one's not. What's going to happen? Who are they going to choose? Like, it's good. And I thought overall, like, this episode of NXT was pretty decent. It started well for me. It ended well for me. I thought it was a bit blah in the middle. Like,
there were a couple squashes right back to back, and that didn't help. And
I think the problem was I'm not hugely into Elias Sampson. I don't really like Alex Riley being back, and I love Nia Jax, but I've no. So yeah, for me it was just the kind of the Alex Riley, Elias Sampson stuff was like, oh, I'm not really hugely into those guys, so it's not really for me. But
yeah, and the end for me was interesting. I was interested to talk about it with you.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't something that I liked, but it was something that I thought was interesting, worth discussing, and I am
Yeah,
intrigued to go forward.
and
So
I,
I
and
think
I,
it
I
works in that
don't know.
sense.
I don't know how they handle it. You know, I've not read all the spoilers, so I am intrigued to see how they come out of this.
Yeah, me too.
See where they go. Um, but thank you for inviting me on to your first NXT rundown, Yellow Ropes Forever of 2016.
Yeah, thanks for being on the first Yellow Ropes Forever NXT rundown of 2016. It's been
Well,
lovely.
I mean,
It's good to be
well, I mean,
back.
you did hold my mother hostage in the basement until I would come on, so I mean, I get
Well,
to,
you
but
know, you got to do what you got to do,
you
really.
got to book your guests, whatever
Yeah,
it
I treated her well.
takes. You did. She's only partially scarred.
Yeah,
It's like Kane, mental scarring. She doesn't.
mental scarring. I didn't actually burn her alive.
But yeah, thanks everyone for listening to me try and keep up with Sondra and NXT for an hour. That's always fun.
It's always enjoyable. And yeah, thank you everyone for listening in general. Thanks for your patience as I've been away for a while. Thanks for your patience in light of our recent weird hacking situation on ITR. I'm glad that's all kind of getting sorted now a little bit better. Yeah, I'm back. It's going to be a thing every week now. That's what's going to be happening. And yeah, check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/The Inside Network. You can get me on Twitter at SandraRuthRW. You can get Kenny on Twitter at inside_the ropes, or if you want to talk to him on a more personal level, at KennyMC1985.
It's where all the cool kids are going nowadays.
Because 1985 is when Kenny was born.
No, it's actually it's a pseudonym. I was actually born in 1995. I recently celebrated my 21st birthday, so thank you for all the well
Oh,
wishes.
the land of delusion must be
I can
lovely
now
this time of
legally
year.
drink in America. Thank you very much, everyone, for those well wishes. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's so cute how you've deluded yourself. It's like you're Alex Riley thinking you're great.
Cut it.
Anyway, thank you everyone, and I will be back next week. Bye.